Joining us now is Okpe, with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jenny.
Good morning, Dr. Bati.
Oh, yeah.
I saw you dancing on social media. We'll talk about it, Tundu.
Dancing?
Good morning, yes. Good morning,
Dr.
Tundu
Bati.
Abiola. Good morning,
Dr.
Baji.
Bati, dancing?
Where did you go?
Well,
I was not informed of
inside
this.
baseball. Tundu.
Dancing in
Discuss
the
it.
Lord,
Thank
he's
you.
dancing in the Lord. Lord, you're looking dapper, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Well, good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In the United States, President Joe Biden on Tuesday signed a bill into law making lynching a federal hate crime more than 100 years after such legislation was first proposed. The bill was named after Emmett Till, the black teenager whose killing in Mississippi in the summer of 1995 became a galvanizing movement in the civil rights era. In the United Kingdom, Queen Elizabeth II joined other members of Britain's royal family on Tuesday to give thanks to the life of her late husband, Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, nearly a year after he died at the age of 99. It was the Queen's first public event since testing positive for COVID-19 last month. In India, hundreds of workers in the country's capital, New Delhi, marched with red flags of the labor unions and chanted anti-government slogans on Tuesday as part of a two-day nationwide strike that began on Monday. The protesters accused Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government of hurting workers and hiding its economic criminality under the grab of communalism and religion. Under sports, the Black Stars of Ghana qualified for the 2022 FIFA World Cup after playing a 1-1 draw with the Super Eagles of Nigeria at the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja on Tuesday night. The draw earned the Black Stars one of the 5 tickets for African representatives at the World Cup, billed for Qatar later this year. While supporters of the Super Eagles invaded the pitch immediately after the match, vandalizing facilities in protest. Finally, under entertainment, actress and TV host Jada Pinkett Smith promoted healing in an Instagram post on Tuesday, her first public comment since her husband, Will Smith, slapped comedian Chris Rock at this year's Academy Awards ceremony. On Monday, the Academy condemned Smith's actions amid his public apology to Chris Rock and said it is reviewing the matter. It is reported that if the group determines that Smith violated its standards of conduct, members of the Academy could expel the actor from the organization, revoke his Oscar, or make him ineligible for future awards. Well, let's begin what's trending. In the wake of the Abuja Kaduna train attack by terrorists on Monday, presidential aspirant Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Tuesday cancelled the colloquium organized in commemoration of his 70th birthday. The APC chieftain, shortly after arriving the event, announced that he could not celebrate amidst a national tragedy. He asked the attendees to go home and pray for the victims of the attack.
I've just been informed of a very sad incident in our country. Very sad indeed, that over 60 people and many more were killed and bombed on the train between Kaduna and Abuja just last night. That is a very serious incident about the security of lives in this country. And it calls for a very serious, sober reflection. To me, to be here, celebrating, dancing, and enjoying myself doesn't show enough concern of a statesman as a senior citizen of this country. we urge the two clergies who are here present to continue to pray, and every one of you to go home and pray. This event should not be holding. I've consulted with the people you've seen around me here, and they've agreed with me. I'm being a very highly committed Democrat. I have subscribed myself to their suggestion that they agree that this event be cancelled.
Well, in the meantime, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who was meant to be at the Colloquium, made a detour to Kaduna to visit the victims of the train attack. He was received by the governor of the state, Nasir El-Rufai, and Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Wola Oluwakonde. The senior special assistant, media and publicity to the vice president on Tuesday took to Twitter to announce his visit. Well, the tweet has gathered mixed reactions. Let's take his tweet before we take a reaction. Well, on Twitter, Wola Oluwakonde wrote, on his way to Lagos for the 13th Tinubu Colloquium marking former Lagos State Governor's 70th birthday, VP had to detour to Kaduna this afternoon upon receiving the news of the extent of human and material losses occasioned by yesterday's dastardly attack on the Abuja Kaduna railway route. Well, Abdullah wrote in response, but this happened yesterday night, so it makes no sense that there had to be a detour in the first place. He should have been there yesterday night or this morning. So should we clap for him now? Well, unfortunately, I know you're laughing, Rufai. But I thought that Tinubu cancelling his colloquium was well in order. He said he's a Democrat. I think that, he did it out of the passion that he has for Nigeria. But unfortunately, Nigerians don't believe that. They are saying that maybe because the vice president did not attend, or the president did not attend, because, he's been doing it for years. I know you're smiling, Tindu. He's been doing it for years, and, for the first time, those two powerful people were not in attendance, and probably that's why he canceled. That's the conspiracy theory, not my theory. That's what's happening. Tundu, I'm coming to you.
I'm not convinced by that theory. I actually think it's quite amusing. Yeah. The idea that a man of 70 years old will organize his colloquium and have all the guests and think, oh, 2 people didn't show up. Chuck it, bid everything, cancel it because of 2 people. I doubt that's the case. I think it is sincere that he canceled it because of the tragedy in Kaduna, and he did say that it would have been out of place to be celebrating and having jolloffing and pepper souping.
Jollificating.
Right. Is it jollificating? I thought it was jolloffing.
Jolloffing and pepper souping.
Yeah, jolloffing and pepper souping. When people have been murdered in cold blood. So it's a time for sober reflection, and I completely support that. As for the vice president, damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's just all I have to say about that.
I think it was the detour. There was no need for that word detour. Why? So does that mean that it was in your schedule in the first place to go when you knew there was going to be, you didn't know about the news of the attack, the train attack? So that's the issue, the word detour.
Well, I think that Abuja Bola Ahmed Tinubu was well advised. It would have been insensitive, it would have been scandalous, despite the fact that it was the 13th edition of an event that he had been organizing since he left office. He would have been severely criticized if, anybody had seen images of jollof rice and pepper soup bowls going up and down at a time when, victims who had lost their loved ones were mourning on account of an event. And he said, well, he took the advice, and he was well advised to postpone the event. The whole of Eko Hotel was taken over yesterday. And you need to have seen the mountains of cake gifts, some of them looking like the pounded yam that Chinua Achebe described in Things Fall Apart. But he had to suspend all of that, out of respect for the dead. And he said reflection. We should use the opportunity to reflect. And indeed, we need to reflect. And that's what we've been doing on this subject since morning. Why would there be no security for trains in Nigeria? Why would the response time be so slow in the event of a tragedy? Why would there not be a proper accounting with regard to the number of passengers that were on the train? And we've been having all kinds of conflicting figures. And why are these terrorists now moving around airport, train lines, the whole of the Northwest, and the Northeast, no longer safe in Nigeria? And why is it just now that anybody is talking about security surveillance and monitoring of train tracks? These are the issues for reflection. The event ended with prayers for the dead because he then called on the religious leaders there to pray for the people. And everybody dispersed. Some people may have been disappointed that their throats that have been scratching them, that there will be pepper soup and jollof rice. That's why you decided to cancel it. But they should focus on the bigger message about the tragedy and the occasion.
Rufai, do you have your own theory real quick so we can take out story?
I mean, commendations to Asiwaju for doing
that,
really. I mean, it's a very sensitive matter. But I'll come to the detour thing in the tweet about Osinbajo. I mean, he's the vice president of this country. He gets security briefings. I mean, don't tell me that you're not understanding the severity while you are on your way to Lagos and
that's the
don't
issue.
Pee on my back
That's
and tell
the
me it's
issue.
raining. But secondly, most importantly, Oji, we don't respect lives in this country.
No, we don't.
Dr. Chinelo tweeted that she was dying. Some people went on Twitter to abuse her. She finally died. I'm sure they're happy now. All of you that abused Dr. Chinelo and asked, are you dead now? I think you're happy now.
People are horrible to
People abused her.
Yes, I think.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
They did.
Because it's like you got shot and you had the time
and
to
I know it's
tweet.
people from a certain political party.
They do that.
Oh, no.
Honestly, they became partisans. So I think you are happy now that Dr. Chinelo has died. And may God visit your conscience.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks everything is about APC and PDP in this country. Nigeria is more than that.
Yes.
I'm really upset. The game played yesterday. No black armbands want to commemorate the death of those people.
I thought there would be a moment of silence.
There was a moment
of silence, but no armband.
There was?
Till date,
yes, I didn't
flags are not flying half-mast. It's a national tragedy. We've not still heard statements from those that are supposed to come out and speak to us. We've not declared days of national mourning.
Very sad.
But that's why it continues.
We don't respect
everybody moves
lives
on like
in this
nothing
country.
happened. No,
and
we don't.
move on like nothing has happened.
Really sad situation. Well, may their souls rest in peace.
Amen.
We'll take our final story. Following the Super Eagles' defeat by the Black Stars of Ghana at the Moshood Abiola Stadium, which saw supporters of the Super Eagles invading the pitch in protest and vandalizing facilities, journalist Shina Oludare, who was at the scene, took to Twitter on Tuesday to accuse military officers and policemen of assaulting him while he was recording the stampede at the entrance of the stadium. He said while on duty, 3 military officers and several policemen flogged him and broke his phone despite identifying himself as a journalist. He said he even had his accreditation hung around his neck and was not given a chance to explain himself. Well, let's take a quick look at the scene yesterday after supporters of the Super Eagles stormed the pitch at the stadium in protest after the defeat by the Black Stars of Ghana. This police brutality has to stop. How dare they? I mean, he was obviously showing his accreditation. He claimed that they flogged him. What was the purpose of that, Tundu Abiola?
Well, haven't our Arise team been subjected to police brutality and their accreditation was clear? And this is what I was saying when we're talking about the issue of the APC women's leader and her tweets, and she had to delete tweets and what have you. The issue of police brutality is not a partisan issue. It's got nothing to do with APC or PDP. It's about our lives in Nigeria and the complete lack of respect. Look at how they picked on him, a journalist, but you had wild loonies rampaging on the pitch, unharmed. Look at them, just running. Yes, and there was no police to flog those ones.
Can you see?
It's somebody doing his job that they see and they flog. And this issue of football hooliganism is a disgrace. We were talking about this earlier in the show, about how I was saying how Dangote Group of Companies paid $1 million to renovate MKO Abiola Stadium. And now look at what we've done to it. This is so embarrassing.
Dr. Abati.
Well, very quickly, I think nobody should be assaulted. Nobody should be brutalized, whether they are journalists or medical doctors, whoever they may be, at a major public event. 70,000 spectators. The stadium was filled beyond capacity. Installed capacity is 60,000. Now, but in terms of organization, the event itself was poorly organized. There was no crowd control. Security was very poor. You know, everything was just not organized. And then what happened at the end of the day was that we lost. The question that some people have raised is, are we going to be sanctioned by FIFA? Because the point has also been made that, look, the Zambian doctor, Joseph Kabungo, that's his name, the CAF medical doctor, he was part of the team. Well, we said earlier when we discussed this subject that it's not been confirmed that he died. But he was assaulted by Nigerian football fans.
Yeah.
Should anything happen to him, and even with the kind of riotous behavior that our people put up, then you know, FIFA may end up at the end of the day sanctioning Nigeria. But I hope that we'll learn the relevant lessons from this, you know, and try to see how we can be more responsible, more accountable in how we organize events, no matter how emotional we may be about it.
Yeah, unacceptable, Rufai.
I'll just end with the words of Eisenhower. A country that values privilege over virtue will soon lose the privilege and the virtue. That is the story of Nigeria. Nigeria value privilege over the virtue of nationhood. And that's why we're losing everything.
Well, thank you all
Well, thank
for
you
your
very
beautiful
much,
analysis, as always. That's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you tomorrow.